first time since Grover Cleveland, a president that has won, then lost, has won again. So Donald Trump is the president again. So he's the 47th and 45th president because right now they are declaring him and have been declaring him for a number of hours now the victor of the 2024 presidential race. And he's already starting to get calls from world leaders congratulating him and saying what kind of relationships they are looking for with him and all along those lines. So that's what's going on in that space and along those lines. And we'll have some people coming in and giving you their thoughts about this momentous occasion and what's happened in the Trump victory and all along those lines. And hopefully we'll get some people over the next several days that'll be coming in and giving us their thoughts and which direction they feel the country will be going and all along those lines. On a very interesting note, because abortion has been an issue on some of the campaign trails and everything like that, 7 states have voted to protect abortion rights while efforts to expand access in Florida and South Dakota failed. So it looks like abortion won in a lot of the states. And I know we've had some people here on the network that have talked about it was going to be up to the states to make the choices and all along those lines. So most states that considered abortion rights amendments approved them. So abortion rights advocates won in 7 states and cleared the way to overturn the Missouri ban. But like I said, there were losses in 3 and all along those lines. So there's something else going on as well. And Hurricane Rafael has intensified near Cuba, so definitely that's something going on as well. So Hurricane Rafael is expected to rapidly intensify as it barrels toward Cuba. So there might be some more hurricane weather coming as well. And it could be a supermajority for the Republicans right now. Right now, the House is up for grabs, but it's looking like it's will be the Republicans definitely in control of the Senate and definitely in charge of most of the or the majority, I shouldn't say most, but the majority of the gubernatorial races, even though right here in North Carolina, Josh Stein won his seat, so he'll be one of the 3 Jewish governors that'll be out there and all along those lines. So definitely that is something that people will be talking about, and people will be waiting to see what happens with the House and what goes on in that space, because there are some analysts that are saying that it is still up for grabs and all in that kind of way. And definitely it looks like folks are still waiting to see when Kamala Harris will give her concession speech and all along those lines. She did stop the election night party as Trump had gone ahead and claimed victory at that time, but she has yet to concede. So we'll see what goes on in that space and when she concedes and all along those lines. I actually had a very unique idea that came to me last night and everything and all along those lines. And when I bring up my panelists, I may bring up this unique idea that won't probably happen, but it could be interested. It could even be a way to bridge the divide, as folks like to say, and all along those lines. But we'll see whether folks like this new idea that I just came up with literally last night as I was coming back home, or maybe that was this morning and everything, since we had a watch party, a small watch party, but a watch party nonetheless over at the Hayti Heritage Center and all along those lines. And like I said, Nebraska voters have opted to keep the 12-week abortion ban in place. And in LA County, the LA County District Attorney, one of the most progressive in the country, has lost a re-election and all along those lines and all in that kind of space. But in other interesting news, Sarah McBride will win an open Delaware seat, becoming the first transgender person in the Congress. So CNN has reported that that will be the first openly transgender member of Congress that will be there and all along those lines. There were other races that were interested in here in North Carolina. I was talking to my mom who had run for Secretary of State some time back and everything like that, and she was glad that Mo Green won his job and everything along that space, along with Rachel Hunt and some others that are members of the Council of State. So I think Mo Green might have been running for public instruction, which would be our school system and stuff like that. And there were some others that she was happy that it won as well, including Don Davis and others. So it just looked like there was some silver linings in some of the victories, particularly here in North Carolina. I know that Miss Fouché had won a seat, and there were others that people will be talking about as well. But definitely, it was interesting to have that conversation with my mom earlier today, just about the political situation and all along those lines. and Elon Musk to spent the election night with Donald Trump and all along those lines, being at the Trump victory celebration and everything. So now we'll see what Trump gets out. I mean, what Musk gets out of this whole situation and all along those lines, and see what kind of folks get jobs. I know that Trump has talked about even giving. Robert Kennedy some sort of position on the health issues and all along those lines, because definitely we need to improve our health and some of the other things in our society. So I know there's been talk about him having a position in that way, and maybe Elon Musk doing some stuff with technology or other things along those lines. But it should be interesting to see what happens in that space. And Navy SEAL Tim Shihai has ousted three-term John Tester in the Montana Senate race. So definitely that's something that folks are had been looking at as a close race and all along those lines. And for those that are into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, there might be some folks that are celebrating in that space, because I think that some of their money went up and all along those lines, and some of that was because of some of the races that were even funded by some of the things going on in the Bitcoin space and all along those lines, because definitely Bitcoiners are celebrating as $40 million campaign of one of the candidates brought down Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown. So Republican Bernie Moreno won the seat, and apparently he used some of that Bitcoin kind of funding and all along those lines. I think that President-elect Trump had also gotten involved in the crypto space as well. So we'll see if that influences how people handle crypto and all along those lines. And I know he'd also been talking about this online university that he wanted to create as well. So definitely we'll see how this all goes as well. Some of the folks that have been in past offices have actually retained their seats. Senator Ted Cruz was reelected for a third term there in the area of Texas and all along those lines. And in a similar light, Elizabeth Warren was able to retain her seat as well. So definitely there are some folks that were winning in that space that had already held office, but those are two that come to my mind automatically and all along that kind of way. I'm going to bring up some world news, and then I've got Sasha Starr. I've also got Nick Palveda. So I've got the two founders of the network with me, Nick and Kim, and I've also got definitely Sasha Starr here as well, and he might have some thoughts about what's going on in Israel and everything like that. So some people are asking, who is Israel Katz? Apparently he's Israel's new defense minister, and they're protesting Israel after Netanyahu fired the defense minister and all along those lines. So definitely there's some shakeups in that area, and European leaders are congratulating Trump amid worries over both trade and Ukraine. And a narco sub carrying 8,000 pounds of cocaine was intercepted in the Pacific Ocean, according to the Mexican Navy. So the Mexican Navy said that they have intercepted 8,000 pounds of cocaine there in the Pacific Ocean. So who knows where it was coming from or where it was heading to, but that was the Mexican Navy that intercepted that as well. And chaos and destruction as Israel strikes deep in Lebanon's valley. So we're seeing some things going on in that base. And Schultz is fighting for survival in Germany, with Trump set for the win and everything. So Germany's quarrelsome government met in last-minute effort to find solution for its ailing government and all along those lines. So like I said, a lot's going on in the world, including a mystery cargo plane that fires. Mystery cargo plane fires were linked to a Russian plot to plant bombs on aircrafts. So that's something else that we're seeing as well. And definitely we'll see what happens in terms of the EU's trade war and all along those lines. So Europe faces Trump's victory and wider fears of an independent economic nightmare. And some people are fearing a trade war could be coming our way as well. So I'm going to bring in some different folks and see what they've got to say. And all along those lines, including the two founders of the network, Nick Palveda, Kimberly Calhoun, who's here with us, the two founders of the network, as well as Rick Rosner. Sasha Starr is here as well. And of course, we've got Nikhil from down under in Australia and all along those lines. So definitely it's interesting to see. I'm just going to be, let me just tell you my two unique ideas and everything. One, my mom, who was definitely a staunch Democrat, and I'm not saying that everybody feels this way, called it a sad day. That was her day. That was her words when I called her earlier today and all along. those lines, and there might be others that are having that feeling. But like a lot of folks, she was saying that we could do this just like we got through everything else that might have been considered a sad day, while others, like those in the MAGA movement, might have considered it a joyous day. But this is my interesting theory that came up with me last night and everything. Like I said, I'm just throwing it out here and everything. I doubt it'll happen. It's probably not going to happen and everything. But if we want to bridge the divide, because it's part of what they've said they want to do, including Trump in his concession space, is build unity and everything along this line and in that space. It would be a demotion and everything, but it is a powerful job and everything. So if he really wanted to bridge the divide, and like I said, I'm just throwing this out here. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think anybody's even thinking about it happening and everything. What if Donald Trump appointed Kamala Harris Attorney General? That was my interesting idea and an interesting thought and everything along those lines and in that space. Like I said, I doubt it'll happen because that would be too radical and everything. But she was the prosecutor in California. She's got experience in prosecution, and maybe she even has to make the promise that she won't continue the prosecution of him and everything along those lines. But it was just an interesting thought.
So Trump has had years and years to govern moderately. And he's a moderate guy in the years leading up to him being president, and he's not learned the lesson of trying to do that. So I have low expectations of that.
Well, I'm not hearing you, Kim, and everything, but just really quickly, Nick, while I'm trying to hear Kim and everything, you're there in Spain. What is your take on this? I know you've been one that was expecting this and everything. So what do you think we can expect over the transition period as well as the second Trump presidency? Nick?
Hello.
Nick?
Yeah, Nick.
I have to
All the way
unmute.
from Spain, we have Nick
All the way from Spain,
Talavera.
but, Shaquille's coming all the way from Australia, so I figure I can come all the way from Spain. And so now I can talk about your country just like he does. Stick my nose up and flash my money around and all that other stuff. So I've become a Shaquille follower in that respect. What's going to happen? Same thing that happened several years ago, except there's a difference. And this is something everybody's got to be aware of. It's the Senate and the House. I don't know if you follow those elections. The Senate and the House may turn Republican. In other words, he may have a clean sweep. So this is what they call the big red wave that was predicted last time. It didn't happen. But it looks like it did happen this time.
Well,
What gets me is about my former party, maybe I'm a current party, how the Democrats were in denial of everything. They're the ultimate groupthink group. First of all, Waltz, what a bad pick. They all fall in line. So if the leader says it's a good pick, everybody goes, oh, it's a good pick. It was a bad pick. They needed to nail down Pennsylvania. They needed Shapiro. She didn't do that. That was a bad pick. And then there was no real primary, and that's Joe Biden's fault. So, and then the messaging, not one of them talked about balancing the budget. Elon Musk came in from outer space, as he normally does, and says, we're $36 trillion in debt. We need to do something about it. The Democrats had the opportunity to take control of this. They didn't. They failed. They got a big F. However, because I've talked to the party leaders and some over here, they were all in denial. They were all following the party line. Here's the Democratic Party, and so I have no respect for them. As you know, I also have no respect for the Republican Party either. So it's unanimous. And that's the reason I live in Spain, which has its own set of problems. But man, you guys really have to wake up.
I like your haircut, Nick.
Smell the coffee. I'm in a cafe. Smell the coffee.
So,
Yeah, you look like you belong in Spain, but I would just want to tell everyone, make sure you stock up on toilet paper or buy stock in toilet paper, and maybe he will make us have a manufacturing plant here with toilet paper, because he has proven very big that he fails in the face of crisis, causing 1.6 million people to die causing us to run out of toilet paper and causing us to go into trillions and trillions of dollars of debt because he recklessly handed out PPP loans to people who knew what they were signing, and then they waived it. And made millions of people extra millionaires that they weren't before. Maybe they already were. But also, I just want to remind people, go read the Tax Cut Job Act so that you know how to pace your life, how much money you need to earn so that you're not paying them more taxes. And then one more thing I'm going to add, one more thing. This is my prediction. My prediction is in 6 months, he's going to come back and he's going to say, people, I am so sorry. I cannot give you what I promised you. I'm not going to be able to reduce the taxes.
Whose background noise here?
Increase them on the middle class. I am so sorry, and it's not my fault. It's Biden's fault. When all along, people, it was the Tax Cut Job Act's fault that has been there since 2017. But that's my prediction. It is. He will victimize himself and say it's not his fault. He didn't cause it, and he can't provide you what he promised you. That's my prediction.
All right.
I promise you, my crystal ball, because we've seen it happen all the time. This is what he does. So it will not be his fault, but you know what? It is. And he's going to extend the Tax Cut Job Act. And by doing so, according to the conferences I've been watching, if that happens, they have to increase the taxes on the middle class. Oh, we don't want to, but we have to. So that's going to be the problem. I can't use my keyboard, but somebody's going to have to. I can't use my keyboard.
No problem and everything, just along those lines and in that space and in that way and everything. And I try to get everybody up. I've actually got a question for you, Sasha, and all along those lines, because I brought it up earlier, and I'm not saying that I am a fan, but I do, as I told you before, have friends in that space, and I am going to get to use Shaquille as well. But there is this notion that because of the Trump victory and everything, that something that I know you're not a fan of could be getting a boost, because apparently one of the candidates, I think it was in Ohio, was backed by cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency money and everything. And I think that even Trump himself has his own cryptocurrency. So are we going to see a rise? Because a lot of the young people, I'm thinking that that's one of the issues. I'm not saying the only issue, but one of the issues that they might have been looking at was this new economy, because there are some people that are saying that the dollar is heading toward trouble. They're looking at BRICS and they're looking at other things like crypto. So as one that does modern investment here on our network and everything, what is your take on the potential rise of crypto under a Trump presidency?
Thank you, Mark. First of all, I would like to congratulate all my friends, specifically American friends, but Shaquille, since you're not American, but I still would like to congratulate you with. That's not just as simple as if Trump would get some extra people in one state or another here and there. There was a clean sweep. The American people clearly said what they want. And it appears to me that I don't know how it affected them, all the shortcomings of Trump personally, but it was far outweighed by problems with the present administration. I'm talking about Biden and Kamala Harris, and she could not maneuver as to be independent from what Biden done in the last 3.5 years. Unfortunately, she could not insulate herself. And so American people said it loud and clear. That's what we want. We want Trump as the president. We want Senate. We want House. We want Supreme Court. We want everything. It's all ours now. So you have to follow the step. If not, prepare to go to jail or to Spain, get on your first flight, get there, or whatever. It's just, and you know what? I'm not criticizing Trump or his party for doing that. They are the winners. The winner takes it all. That's always been in the history of mankind. The winner takes it all. The winner today is Trump. and his party and Senate and House and Supreme Court, everything is his. So now go and please yourself as you do, and don't think about anybody else. And if I were Trump today, I would throw today Biden and Harris out of the White House and tell them, or you can stay, but you have to pay the rent, because right now White House is mine. So if you want to stay here, you have to pay me $100,000 a day.
So,
That's
Sasha,
what-
I have
Hold
a
on,
question
my
for
turn, my
you.
turn
Do
here.
you
Hold
think
on.
do you
So-
think he will end the wars as fast? I mean, will it happen like that? He said he can end the wars just like that.
No, it's not the case, because it's American people who elected him. It wasn't Ukrainian people, it wasn't Russian, it wasn't Chinese, it wasn't Iran or North Korea. No. So he can do anything what he wants in United States of America only. The rest of the way, well, you can imagine that, okay, he phones Putin and say, Putin, I want you to stop attacking Ukrainians, let's get peace. Putin says, you know what, I don't feel like doing that today, maybe tomorrow. What is Trump going to do? He's going to go for a war against Putin, who has a nuclear arsenal? No, he's not going to do it. Sanctions, U.S. already used all kinds of sanctions possible against Russia, and it doesn't work apparently. So what he's going to do? What's his next move? Well, because people are, as I said previously, the idea is that people are so scared about Trump in China, in North Korea, and everywhere else, that somehow they will follow the line and they will do what Trump tells them to do. I don't buy it. I think that he became now the Tsar of United States of America. It's loud and clear. That's what American people wanted, and that's what they got. Full stop, period. On international situation, we'll see how things will develop. It already went
Shaq, hold on, Shaq, you told us so. So my wife spent the whole night freaking out, saying, "You got to delete all your tweets. We're going to take the mezuzah off our front door." So I want to ask you guys: do you think it will become that dire in the next, I don't know, year or so? I'm saying no. I mean, even if it is Germany 1933, Germany didn't get bad until 36, 37. And I don't think it's going to be that bad. Now, the other question I have is, I've seen a lot on Twitter saying that no matter what the Dems did, they could not get out of people being pissed off about inflation and immigration. And you can talk about strategic errors, but we were always screwed. What do you think?
Well, I want to address something, because you said something last night that kind of hit me with a great idea this morning, because we both have kind of talked about this. We're going to follow Nick's lead and leave this country. And there's a whole slew of people actually that started planning to leave this country about 3 months ago. They had a beautiful PNR show about it, where they all came on and talked about why. And I really believe that they are planning to leave. And your idea to me was, wow, because you said, well, I have to come home every 6 months. So you want to tag team with me? We'll buy a house together. You stay in it 6 months and I stay in it 6 months. Really nice.
I love that. And I will.
Let's do it.
Well, that sounds like a plan and everything, but just really quickly, speaking of that, because there are
But
people.
you asked a question. Does anyone
Me and
want to
Shaquille
answer?
have talked about this before and everything, that a lot of people talk that talk, but they don't actually walk that walk. But there is a famous star that I just read about recently that has walked that walk, because apparently Richard Gere had sold his $11 million home and is moving out of the country. I don't know where he's moving to, because I didn't read that far into the article, but he is saying that he is
A lot of
leaving.
people
He's
are.
already sold his house and everything, but some people have that kind of money. Now, a lot of people don't have that kind of money, myself included, even if I wanted to move. And I'm not saying I want to move, because I believe in that notion, because I've even said people on this network before, that I believe in fighting from within and everything along those lines. There is something to fight for and everything along those lines. But I have a question for Shaquille really quickly, because Shaquille has not commented yet, even though his side.
Jacoby Craw.
I've got a quick question for you, Shaquille, which is one of the things that you brought up, and I think that it was kind of glossed over, and all along those lines was what was going on with the unions. Now, as you know, I am somewhat, and I think you are too, somewhat of a union supporter, but it seems like a lot of the union support actually moved toward Trump and everything. I'm not sure why it moved there, but maybe you've got some theories because you're in commerce and you're in economics and everything. So I just wanted your take on the union vote and the importance of the union vote to a Trump victory. Shaquille.
All right, so I'll just start off with a few different things. I did message Steve Rao last night. It took him a while to get back to me, but I did congratulate him and for all of you that are in North Carolina on Josh Stein's governor race and winning that. I think that was great, and hopefully Steve Rao will that'll help his career and his political ambitions. For the congratulations comment from Sasha, look, it's not like I'm that invested in it. It's not my country. I just want what's best for the United States. And if I'm asked to give an opinion, I really do believe that Donald Trump is the best person to lead out of the candidates that were put up there. I think to Rick's comments, Rick, I don't think it's going to be as bad as that. It wasn't as bad as that when he won in 2016. I think things were going along pretty well prior to COVID. He's a changed person, not massively, but he's changed a bit. He's talked about unifying the country. I think it's important to give him the chance to do that. I think it's important to be fair and even-minded when you especially the media, when they're looking at him, because if he wants to go out and leave a legacy of having done something really amazing, when he was giving his speech last night talking about the golden era for the United States, if that's what he wants his legacy to be, that's going to help everybody. Now, I know that because he has been such a divisive figure, there's a lot of people out there that are very, very hurt. I think there's probably a lot of black women that are disappointed that, one of theirs didn't get up. But these things happen in politics. I don't think that she was rejected because of her skin color or because of who she was. I think that her ideas were not very well articulated. We've talked about this on many shows before. I think that she just needed to engage with media a bit more, and the process with the closed primaries and all of those sorts of things really conspired against her. And although it looks like he's going to take all 7 of those swing states, it was actually reasonably close. There was none of the upsets that I was talking about. I had been saying that I thought Virginia was going to be in play. It did come close, but it didn't flip. You didn't see any blue states flip that outside of the swing states. You didn't see any blue states flip. You didn't see any red states flip. In the House races, you really haven't seen much in the way of flips except for those areas that were affected by redistricting. Senate races, again, didn't really see anything that was particularly surprising. Yes, they gained a seat in West Virginia, but that was expected. So, I think people will be okay. And let's see how he goes. He can certainly be criticised. He's certainly going to be criticised by the media far quicker than what a Democrat would be. So, he's going to have to be on his toes. But I hope, and my hope for all of you, is that you will pray that he will be a much better president this time round than what he was in the past. To your question, Mark, about the economy, was that the question about the economy?
The economy, but specifically the union vote, because he did turn
the union
support.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. I think there has actually been a change in the sorts of people that are supporting Republicans and centre-right political parties. I went to say this the other day. The centre-right political parties of the world have really, they've had some weaknesses. They're weak on funding for social services. They're weak on climate change. They're, healthcare, education, all those sorts of things. They're not great on that. They're not great on supporting workers. You listen to someone like me, I'm going to say, hey, the minimum wage should be $0.00 because the free market will take care of it. But that has left a lot of people behind. And I think that he's been able to talk to them and actually get their support. So I think that's going to be something very powerful. To Kimberly, Rick, and to a lesser degree, Nick, before you look, if you're going to move countries, like you said on yesterday's show, Rick, because you were thinking about going to Europe anyway, hey, go for it. No problems. But I think to really be contemplating leaving your country because you're not happy with the political outcome, I think that's a bit extreme. I left Australia.
Hold on, we're not doing that. I mean, this has given us more impetus to make sure if things go crazy, that we'd like to have an out. But really our kid lives in London, and we want to be closer to our kid. So we've been planning this for quite a while anyway. This just gooses us a little bit.
I left Australia because there were opportunities denied to me here because of our regulations, and I was able to be far more successful in Switzerland and Dubai, and had far more opportunities available to me there, and that's why I left Australia. When I left Australia, I then started to contemplate things like tax rates and all those sorts of things. My suggestion to everybody is that you should try to have foreign residencies and foreign citizenships, because it gives you the ability to go somewhere else when the situation deteriorates. Because also, lifestyle can be much different. If you're earning Western money with British pounds, American dollars, Canadian dollars, etc., that money's a lot more valuable. It carries you much further in some of those cheaper countries, and it helps their economy and gives people in those countries opportunities. So certainly I recommend that. That's how I live my life. That's why it's very rare for me to be in Australia for any extended period of time. I certainly suggest that. But when people say, I'm not directing this directly at you, Rick, but when people say this, that they were saying it in 2016 as well, oh, we're all going to leave. Well, they didn't leave. All the celebrities are still there. Hardly anybody left. So as I said, I know that there's a lot of people that are disappointed with this result. But there's a lot of people that are very happy with the result as well. So just, try to come together. And I'm just going to say, because to my side of politics, don't gloat too much. Don't rub it in. Don't be mean to people. Just be nice. You know that some people are going to freak out. That's not a reflection of everybody who's on the left. Just, water off a duck's back. Be the better person. And I truly do hope that Trump tries to extend some olive branches and actually tries to unify the country. And Terry, sorry, I forget our viewer's name, made a comment about pardoning himself and the, I think she was talking about the J6 guys. Look, some of those J6 people may be. I actually think that it would be a good move to pardon Hunter Biden. If I was Donald Trump or one of his advisors, I'd suggest that, because you've got to put a stop to what they're describing as the weaponization of the justice system, and that's across the board. So don't seek revenge by going after Democrats. That even if you genuinely feel that they've done the wrong thing by you, don't do that, because that's not what America is wanting. America didn't elect you to go after your own personal things and go on your personal vendettas. Let it go for the sake of the country. Let it go.
Shaquille, do you really believe that that's what he is going to do, to pardon Hunter Biden?
No, I don't think he's going to pardon Hunter Biden, but I think that he's going to be a lot more moderate this time round. And also, I will say to you, I do actually believe that he has spoken to a group of people, to a very big group of people in 2016, and really now as well, that feels the government is too big, that they're taking too much of a role in our lives, that the politics of the country is out of control, etc. And this is a similar sentiment in Canada, as you know, and in Australia, etc. He's been able to do that. Now, I actually think that some of the mistakes that he made in 2016 was because of the people that he had around him. I think that he's got a better group of people around him that are actually more in line with his viewpoints. So I actually think that he's got a real opportunity to really create the country that he believes and the vision that he believes. And again, I hope and pray that he does. If he doesn't, well, he's going to lose the House in 2 years. If he doesn't, the next Republicans will go to the House.
Do you remember the days when he was firing James Comey? Do you remember when Trump was asking him, I need your loyalty? Comey would say, I'm loyal to Constitution of United States. And Trump would say, that's not good enough for me. You have to be loyal to me. And shortly thereafter, he fired him. So if that's how Trump operates, what can do about it?
I think we can look back at history and look at the things we don't like about him, and it's just going to stress us out. Well, you guys, it's not going to stress me out. It's going to stress you guys out. I think give him the chance. If he screws up, then you can get upset with him. But right now, give him the chance. He's won the election. We don't want to see a repeat of what happened when he won in 2016. everybody just take a breath and just relax. Steve, welcome to the show. And I'll just say to you in person, but I've already announced that I had sent you a text last night. Congratulations on Josh Steins' win in North Carolina.
Last night. I'm working on, in my career, our firm is very involved with him, with the Democratic governors, and we'll be working with this transition. I'm very happy for Josh Stein. I just want to say for the record that he's a good man. I think he's going to represent all the people in North Carolina. I think he'll become very quickly a rising star. You'll hear from this guy. And first Jewish governor in North Carolina history, third in the United States. And I think one day we'll be seeing him on a much larger stage. But he's got his work cut out for him. Most of the term is going to be dealing with Western North Carolina. I think that this is going to be something that he's going to have to deal with. And he doesn't have a supermajority now. So I think it'll be really good for him to get out here and do these things. And I'll just say before Jacoby goes, as my analysis, I think it was a disappointment for me. I got to be honest with you. But as I look back now, I think, thank you so much, Terry. We're going to be starting a new show with American Politics with David M. Walker. And so I'm going to be doing another. But let me finish before Jacoby goes. I just want to give my 2-minute analysis real quickly, if that's okay. First of all, I think that obviously, the economy and higher prices at the gas pump or at the housing and groceries was what was affecting these battleground states, the Blue Wall, Pennsylvania, Michigan, the suburban areas, North Carolina, Georgia. And so I don't think Vice President Harris's campaign effectively conveyed the message of what do you mean by a new way forward? What do you mean about an opportunity economy? I think people were voting with their wallets. I think that I don't agree with any of Trump's policies. I think that the tariffs, if he does do that, is going to create more trade wars. I think if you're an illegal immigrant, you better start working on your paperwork. I think if you're an Indian American, you will be deported. I think that many Indian Americans, I've been in your phone calls today, who have documented dreamers as children. I think you could expect separation from the family, so be prepared for it. It happened to one of my family members during the Trump administration. And he will follow through on all the things he said. He's going to make abortion illegal. He's going to deport 1 million immigrants. He's going to repeal Obamacare. So if you're a Democrat, get ready for it because it's coming. He's also, Sasha Starr is here. He is going to, now that he has the Senate and the House, he's going to stop the war in Ukraine. He's going to stop aid to Ukraine. So just my answer is that, obviously I think the Democrats need to reassess because I think their strategy isn't going to win the White House now. I think if they use this strategy again, I think we see where this is going. I think J.D. Vance will be the presumptive nominee to inherit the MAGA movement. And if you run a similar campaign like you did today, you're not going to win, right? So sorry to be negative Nelly for you Democrats, but we just got shellacked. And, we need to learn from our lessons. So anyway, that's my rant.
I'd like to respond to a few things that you brought up there, Steve. But I know Jacoby's had his hand up, so I'll wait for Jacoby, but I'll wait to respond to you.
Sorry for my rant.
So,
Jacoby.
Steve, I want to actually echo a lot of what you said. I'll disagree slightly with the tactics that were used because I think her tactics were fine. I don't think she had enough time because time was never on her side and she had to be everything everywhere at one time. And that was an impossibility that was placed on her. She was already facing headwinds, the impossible headwinds already from the inflation, the actual government that she was a part of, or the administration she was a part of was already unliked. Biden was well underwater, so she's already having to battle out of that, battle of headwinds of inflation. So she had a lot of stuff to deal with, incumbency that she didn't have time to actually deal with. And there's no way to get over that. And so it was tough. It was tough. In terms of the things that I do want to echo, and I know Shaq, you had stated that we shouldn't look back at the bad things that happened. But I think Steve brought up a great example of we cannot ignore those things. How he had to deal with someone being deported in his family. So that's something that is coming. And these things where, for example, hate crimes spiked under Donald Trump. Donald Trump just had a rally that dealt with, and his actual closing argument dealt with racism, dealt with hate, dealt with attacks on others. What we just did in terms of electing this gentleman president of the United States was to okay those things. So I'm speaking to the social consciousness because, for example, there are people out there right now who have special needs individuals in their family that are going to lose funding for those special needs individuals based on how he's going to deal with the education system alone. There are people that are brown skinned like me that are going to have to deal with individuals attacking them, asking for their papers and having to prove they're not Hispanic, that they're not Muslim, that they're not Iranian, Palestinian, so on and so forth, because of what we have just okayed. There are women who are going to struggle dealing with healthcare issues that they could deal with prior to this. There are individuals that aren't going to be able to get vaccinations for their children. Now we're going to have measles running even more rampant within our society, which is already taking place because of the anti-vax movement. Now we're having so there are a lot of things that we're going to have to be prepared for. And a big thing is, I'm hoping that I'm going to be wrong. But
Rick allows me to go, and then I'll.
All right, so
I do want to respond to Dave's comment.
Right, but a good thing for the Jews. Now, there's a ton of anti-Semitism out there, even before the Gaza war there was, and that just goosed it big time. But we have the most Jewish governors in history, 3 Jewish governors, which is awesome. And I think that there's no longer, I think in public life and political life, there's no hurdle for Jews, which is the good side of the whole Jewish thing here. Now, a question for the panel. We have celebrity cabinet members, Elon Musk and RFK Jr. Do you think they'll be able to do a good job? Do you think RFK's instincts to get rid of all vaxes, do you think he can be moderated in that? Do you think he'll really take a cabinet position? Do you think now Musk wants to make the government more efficient? And, he seems to manage some of his companies well. On the other hand, he's kind of a stoner and kind of a flake. Do you think he'll be able to do that? And will he do that?
Well, I think Musk is already.
Okay, so, come on. I've been wanting to respond to Dave. So
yeah, go ahead.
Well, Sasha's talking. He's been patient. We want to make sure we get Sasha go ahead, and then I want to interject. Sasha.
I'm not a big fan of Elon Musk. But I must tell you that I do believe that he can actually do it. Why do I think so? Because Elon Musk is his status as the richest man in the world, and today Tesla stock went as high as to the sky, so he became even richer. Not $1 trillion yet, but I think he'll be probably $500 billion anytime soon, maybe in a couple of months. So he is not affiliated with some other politicians that, I did something for you, remember 2 years ago, and now you have to do something for me. I helped your son to get into university, you have to now do it. He doesn't have all this attachment. He is there in the sky, so he is free to do anything what he believes should be done. And the only thing, indeed, what he is proposing to do, to fire about 85% of all state employees, clean it completely up, and then only hire people who are essential and necessary to do the job. And out of 85% that he'll fire, so maybe he'll hire back 5% and some 10% of the new people. He will reorganize the function. So if anybody can do it, it's definitely Elon Musk.
Right. Shaquille. Go ahead, Shaquille. I want to interject.
Well,
Shaquille, you
Well,
respond.
you might as well interject now, and then I'll respond, Steve.
Okay. Well, I mean, and I want to be completely honest here. I'm a proud American, and I'm proud of this country. And I want any president of the United States to be successful. But I must say that, and I'm just going to be, I had an argument today with my youngest brother, who's a Trump fan. And it's created friction between us. And it's affected my mother because my parents called me and said, you know, it's just another election. You're being a jerk. You know, grow up and, you know, and I my mother, I was supposed to go over and see her today for dinner and she canceled the plan. She doesn't want to meet with me. But what I told her, and as I said that, and I really mean this as a commentator, I do wish Trump the best, but I don't think he's a good man. And I think that he's denigrated the office of the presidency. And let me just explain why. I'm not saying I want him to not be successful. I do. And I hope that he can govern all of America. I really do. And maybe he will. I'm not going to pass judgment on him, Shaquille. I'm going to give him the opportunity. But I just want everyone to know that in 2020, when the results came in, after the insurrection, he wanted to deny those results. I mean, you know, he did that. And if Vice President Pence hadn't certified those results, he won an election. And I just think that's not a good thing, and that's a bad example. And so I'm just going to go on the record to say I wish him the best, but I don't think he's a good man. I don't think that he has the country's best interest at heart. And I think he doesn't have the character or the integrity to be in that office. And if you're listening to this show and you're offended by that, I'm sorry, but I'm sticking to that. And I guess I won't be having dinner with my mother anymore because, you know, my brother doesn't want to talk to me anymore. But
come over to my
I'm
house.
sticking to that
I
gun.
make it.
And yeah.
Stand on your convictions. I
Yeah,
always
it's
say
okay.
that.
I mean,
Moral convictions
Come
are
to LA.
more
We'll take you out for sushi.
Come
But
to my house.
I want to be clear. I don't want to wish him bad. I don't want to wish him bad. I don't want to wish him bad.
So
Sorry.
Yeah, hold on a
maybe
second.
come over to my house.
That's just
after
my
Hold on a
personal opinion. But
Steve, I think we all
Sorry.
wish
Go ahead,
the
Shaquille.
best for the country. I think we all really
I love
do.
your-
And we're hoping for the best. And again, as I said, there are things that happen and there are things that I can see and others can see that can potentially happen. I completely disagree with you on Elon Musk, Sasha, by the way, because look at what happened to Twitter. Twitter lost billions of dollars from when Elon decided to take it over and do his own thing. Also, he's already put out there that everybody should expect hardship. So you're already telling me that we're going to have a problem there from the start. But I think, again, Steve, your sentiment is correct. We all wish him the best. We all want the best for the country. We truly
yeah,
do.
I'm not going to wish him bad.
But
I don't want to be
we
bad.
cannot
Bad.
run away
Yeah,
from
I
our
want to be
morals and say,
respectful.
hey, he's a great man. No, he was never a great man. The man was found
He's not a
liable.
great man. He's not a
I
great
mean,
man.
he's just not a good dude. But the thing is, we're all hoping for the
yeah.
best.
And that's
That's
my
the only
opinion.
thing
You
we
may not
want.
agree with me, but I don't. And it's the first president of the United States I can say that about, which really hurts. Every other president since my lifetime, whether I agree with them or not, they were good men that I think deserved to be in that office. But he
Yep.
did win the election, fair and square. I agree with Shaquille. He won. But I'm just telling you, that's my opinion. And now I just hope and pray that he does the right thing and represents all Americans. But that's on him. I can't control that. If he's going to go do all these things he says, he's going to deport immigrants, he's going to make abortion illegal, he's going to do that. He's the president, and I can't do anything about it. He's going to be in the Oval Office now for 4 years.
Steve,
So,
they haven't sentenced him
that's
yet.
it.
Will they sentence him? You think they will sentence him? I mean, you're
Hold on a
up
second.
there.
No,
You-
he can pardon himself. No, he can
It's
pardon
actually,
himself.
it's actually.
I want to hear what Steve has to say about the sentencing.
He's a first-time offender.
No, he cannot be sentenced. Yeah,
Why?
he could pardon himself for the crime. So he
He's-
actually now,
he was found guilty of a state
because
offense.
that's what the United States
Pardoned himself
Constitution.
for that. But also,
Well, he
he's
can't
the
pardon
first
himself
time
from
of-
state offense,
Yeah.
but he won't be sentenced
That-
because
that-
you don't sentence president.
He will never go to prison. Yeah, first of all, he wasn't in charge of a federal crime. But even if he was, as the president, he can pardon himself. He's also going to put attorney general in that can vindicate him. So now, I think the other thing to realize is the Department of Justice. Before Rick goes, this is really important as a commentator. The attorney general of the Department of Justice. And it's funny. RFK's father, RFK, the first RFK, he was the attorney general, but his work was separate from the president of the United States. And typically AGs have had separate. But make no mistake, the Department of Justice will now be controlled by the president of the United States. So that means whether it's consumer affairs, civil rights, the president will handpick somebody and will control that so that he cannot have charges brought against him. So he's going to be immune now. So you Democrats that think you're going to get him out of office, no, that's not going to work. He is, he's going to be a president, and then he'll sail off in the sunset, get Secret Service protection. He'll be 81 years old, and and of course, I think Vance will be president. I mean, I don't know but JD Vance will be president in 28.
So I have a question for
I
Shaq
don't
and
think
Sasha.
JD Vance will ever
Unless the
become
Democrats come out with some.
Question
He
for
will have
Shaq
to
and Sasha.
really
If
kiss the
Sasha-
ring.
If
Yeah.
Sasha is still here and for Shaq, so the stock market's going crazy this morning, very excited about fewer regulations under Trump. So it's up a couple, I haven't checked in a second, but anyway, so people that I read are saying the stock market's going to go crazy, then it's going to overheat and crash, which is kind of a typically Republican administration pattern. What do you think is going to have with the stock market, and where should we be positioned?
If I can add to that really quickly, Shaquille, just to add the same question, but Sasha never really answered me and everything, because I'm hearing a lot of people say that crypto is going to take off, and that's part of the BRICS thing that they're wanting to do. So if you can tie that answer into your answer and everything.
Trump has a crypto that's going to take off. He's going to try and push that as the national currency.
But Shaquille, what's your take on that?
Well, I can't give you guys advice about what the markets are going to do. I'd like to respond to some of the points that Steve left us now.
He's still here.
Well,
No,
Steve has
I'm here.
a really cool banner, but
The
I
Wi-Fi
just
was bad.
want to mention that in order for the interest rates, the mortgage interest rates to go down, that the stock market's going to have to do some interesting things, and I think what we're going to have to do is just wait and see. I'm more interested in waiting and seeing what Powell will do now. Will the interest rates drop? And in that case, then we know that
they'll
the
go
trade
down.
are going to have to adjust. So, I mean, but we need the interest rates to drop, and whether that will happen or not, I don't know. But he did it once. He said, "I'm going to do it one time before the end of the year," and he did it for a half a day. We managed to literally catch it at the moment it dropped.
Kim, just really quickly, because we only got 5 minutes to go and everything, and I do believe in fairness, been trying to be fair, this whole network and everything along those lines. So if we can, let's give Shaquille the last 5 minutes to respond back to what Steve said, because he's been trying to do that for a while. So if we can defer just to hear some commentary from Shaquille.
So I just want to address a few points, Steve, that you brought up now. It's not appropriate for us to go into your family dynamics on air. I suspect there's a little bit more to the story than what you've described. I think that's a great tragedy, actually, for families to break up over politics. That really shouldn't be happening, and I would strongly encourage you to extend some olive branches. But I want to address a few things. You've based your comment on him not being a good man mostly on his challenge to the results in 2020. Look, I think that there was actually a legitimate question about whether or not the certification was an automatic process or whether it could be challenged. So, I don't see it the way that you do. I'll leave aside the January 6th riots, insurrection, whatever you want to call it, leaving that aside.
He said on the phone to the Secretary of State of Georgia, find me 10,000 votes. I mean,
okay. Well, I don't.
Hold on a second. We're trying to be
sorry,
fair.
Shaquille, go ahead. Shaquille, finish, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shaquille. Sorry.
Let him finish his thoughts before we
Shaquille, finish. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Shaquille. Finish your thoughts.
It's okay. I mean, if you guys don't want to hear me talk about, hey, let's be more peaceful, that's fine.
No.
But The criticisms that you have, I don't see it the same way, and there's a big part of your country that doesn't see it the same way. But also, I just want to bring up some other issues. You talked about having family members that were separated. That's really sad. It's difficult to watch. I've had family members, not in the United States, but elsewhere, that have been detained because of problems with their visas, and I've seen them bawl their eyes out and be taken away in handcuffs in tears. It is a heartbreaking thing to see, okay? But what's also a heartbreaking thing to see is if you go back to the poorer countries like India or Fiji, and you're sitting there looking at a niece or a nephew or an extended cousin or some sort of family member who's never been able to come to the United States because they've tried to come and they couldn't get a visa and they didn't want to break the law, and they haven't had the benefit of the US education, and they get older, and then they say to you, hey, why is it that the family next door who did break the rules are now being told by America, well, actually, we don't want to separate your family and it's not fair that you went through school here. We should actually keep you here because we educated you and what a great contribution you'll make. I think it's a legitimate concern for people to say, what happens if you've allowed, whatever number you want to pick, 10 million, 20 million, whatever number you want to pick, to come into the country, and then those people have children because they know that America's not going to want to separate those families. What's fair in this circumstance? Now, you might think that what Trump is suggesting is too harsh. Yeah, people are going to get hurt. Yes, they are. But that's what the people have voted for in your country. Okay, he didn't hide this. He didn't hide his plan. He actually said he's going to have the biggest mass deportation thing in US history. He said that. He brought it to the election and people voted for it. As for abortions, he has categorically stated numerous times that he will not sign off on a federal abortion ban. Now, we know that this has been something that's been on the ballot in many of the states today or yesterday for you guys. Let the states work it out. There are other challenges that you can have. There are other ways of being able to address this through the courts. There's other ways of being able to address this through the legislature. But again, he was elected by the people. And to say that he's not a very good person because he's standing for things that you don't agree with, that is really undermining, I believe, what the people have said. Now, I'll also say that if you look at people that voted for him, I don't think you can just sit there and say, well, they voted for him because, or they voted for him knowing that he was going to do this thing that I find really morally reprehensible. That's not fair, because some people have voted for him because of issues that were more important to them.
My last point, I'll just end with this to just bring a human story. So there's a UNC student who's an Indian American named Srishti Sharma, but she was here because her parents came in on illegal immigration. She's undocumented dreamer, okay? And there are many of these that live in Morrisville or Cary. Well, now, if Trump does what he wants to do, all she knows is the United States of America. She's a PhD student. She could be deported out of the United States to India, to a city that she's never lived in. How would my children, for example, go to India? I mean, they've lived in America their whole life, but this is going to happen.
Also,
and there's
Srishti,
that will be separated from their parents.
I want to clarify also, Shaq.
Srishti Sharma, please hang on a second, Jacoby. Srishti Sharma was somebody I think that you brought onto the network one day, right? Beautiful young lady, and my heart does go out to her. The situation isn't fair. It absolutely isn't fair. However, it's also not fair for that kid whose parents didn't take them across the border or didn't take them, fly into the country and just stay, who never got the chance to have the education that she did. So how do you make this fair? Again, it's very, very complicated, but I want to remind Democrats, Donald Trump said that he was going to, when he was the president, he wanted to give them all citizenship with conditions that prevented them from then being able to, dreamers, to then be able to bring over extended family members like a normal US citizen would. There would have to be a time limit that would go past because he didn't want to encourage future behavior. And the Democrats blocked it. So now he's come back with something that is far harsher than what he actually offered last time. This is not all just a Republican and Donald Trump's a bad guy, okay? Democrats had a chance to work with him and they refused to.
Shaq, but the thing is, there was a border bill to fix what you were just saying that could not be fixed, and that is unfair, but it was Donald Trump who blocked it. And it was Donald Trump who did a bunch of these things. The reason he is seen as a bad guy, and the reason I consider him a bad guy, is not all this stuff that you're trying to tie to him. I call him a bad guy because he propagates racism. I call him a bad guy because he was found liable of rape. I call him a bad guy because he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and considered Jeffrey Epstein's biggest buddy. So don't say that it's because of all this other stuff.
Look, I'm going to say one sentence. You can look at him poorly or you can look at him
Mark,
nicely.
I need you to hit the button so that we can go. It's
On that
11
note, we'll
o'clock.
continue this
Thank you very
tomorrow.
much. We got to go.
Yep.
On time. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.